Now, Desmond Lynam and Steve Ryder invite you to join them live at the Queen Elizabeth II Conference Centre in Westminster for the BBC's Sports Review of the Year.
Sporting year of 1988. A year when nice guys came first.
What a way to finish.
A year for surprises.
The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Magic moments for the Republic of Ireland.
Some things didn't change in '88.
For the fifth time, Steve Davis becomes world champion.
Beautiful ball by Marshall again.
For some, it was a non-year. Coe didn't go. Bruno didn't box. Botham talked to the elephants. But most of all, it was Olympic year, producing the biggest story of all, the biggest hype of all, and a host of leading ladies.
BBC Television's Sports Review of 1988 welcomes our Olympic champions. In swimming, Adrian Moorhouse. In shooting, Malcolm Cooper. In rowing, Andy Holmes and Stephen Redgrave. In yachting, Mike McIntyre and Bryn Vaile. And our gold medal winning men's hockey team. welcome to our annual celebration of the sporting year. Tonight we'll relive the outstanding moments once again, and in an hour and a half from now, this famous trophy will be presented to the BBC television sports personality of 1988. Who will follow the famous names that began with Chris Chataway 34 years ago? Well, of course, it's been your choice, and your votes have been coming in by the sackload.
Well, other awards tonight, as ever, will be made to the top overseas personality and also the team of the year. Olympic year, with the celebration starting in the snow and ice and howling Chinook wind of Calgary, where the world was applauding Permin, Alberto, Matty and Eddie, the 15th Olympic Winter Games.
They were games which spoke volumes for the friendliness and the country and western roots of the people of Calgary, and for an enthusiasm which at times was severely tested by the vagaries of that local wind. The Chinook it was called, though the frozen on Mount Allen found other names for it. The game's blue ribbon, the men's downhill, was the first to suffer, but after a day's delay, the favourite proved the master.
And surely it's a brigand racing now for the gold medal. 2:00:14 is Muller, who's waiting and watching. The clock, as we all are, and Zurbriggen, the favourite, comes through. He slaughtered the time.
But the prayers for other golds would go unanswered. Britain's Martin Bell knew his target.
He wants a place in the top 10, he says. Never mind all these forecasts of medals. He knows what he's up against, the best in the world, and he's having a good crack at it. 8th place. Terrific.
A Briton among skiing's elite, our best performance ever. No one needed to ask how he felt. The ladies' downhill winner at Nakiska was a surprise, Marina Kiel of West Germany. But the slaloms went to form.
The target will come up on the left, 49.56. There it is. Vreni Schneider, the last couple of gates. Is she there? Surely. Look at that. She's annihilated it.
2 golds for Vreni Schneider of Switzerland, who shared the Alpine honours with Austria, 3 golds each. Alberto Tomba gave Italy 2, just as he boasted he would.
Sits almost there, almost makes a mistake. Gets through the last, he's in, and in by 0.37.
There were tears in his eyes, and a new Ferrari in the garage. In the dramatically designed saddle dome, Natalia Bestemianova and Andrei Bukin took the ice dance gold, which was theirs from the moment that Torvill and Dean stood aside. The Bryans contested the men's title, but also, being Canada's best hope in the games, proved too much. Boitano from California, playing Napoleon on ice, was an emperor who had no doubt about the night. The leading ladies both chose the role of Carmen. America's Debbie Thomas stumbled when her chance was there, and Katharina Witt's more vivid interpretation won the day. Canada's Liz Manley came between them to claim the silver medal and very nearly stole the show. 7 world records fell in the speed skating, but the memory which stayed most was that of an American who failed.
Jensen, a faller in the 500, and he's fallen again!
He was seeking a tribute to his sister, a victim of leukemia. The bob run, bare and forlorn, was said to be a possible medal cause for Britain. Nick Phipps had carried the Union flag at the opening ceremony, but then made the only headlines for not making the team. The T-shirt of the Jamaican bob team vied for the top of the memorabilia chart, but their descent had us all in a cold sweat. An amazing escape. Irene Bess was another star turn, and the Canadian hockey faithful were humming our tune. The chicken didn't miss a trick, and neither did the red machine. In the ancestral home of the game, the Soviet Union were in a different class. So in the jumping was the ice-cold Finn, Matti Nuukkonen. But while it may have been lost on the champion, this was the event which in Calgary brought a whole new meaning to the Olympic ideal of the greater importance of taking part.
Yes! That's it! Without a doubt! Unequivocal! Absolutely superb! He chooses this moment to out-jump the hill. That's it! And you've never seen him more excited than that. Look at that! He's almost breaking into a smile.
To win from the 70 and then the 90-metre tower had never been done before, but Nuukkonen had a taste for history.
Yes, he's jumped superbly again. Who's the only man to reach the red? He's out-jumped the hill. It's 118.5 metres, and he has the hill to himself.
Well, not quite. For this was where an eagle dared.
That's what they call you. How long you waited to get where you are? Star, that's what you wanted. This week I shot a video star. Oh, rock and roll ain't that thing in your head. You cracked it once and you can do it again. Who knows, who cares where you're coming from?
Not an enormous jump, not by any standards, but it's 71. That's a British record. You've seen it here. He's made it as a ski jumper.
Well, we've managed to pull through for 9 months without Eddie, but Eddie is back. This was Eddie yesterday, Thunder Bay, Ontario, his first leap of the season. The smaller of the two hills. Been training all season for this, months. Here he goes. Eddie, great technique. Eddie leapt 46.5 metres. Came 73rd out of 73. Room for improvement, perhaps today?
That's what you're going to do.
And there's more. Eddie goes again tonight in the larger of the jumps, down the bigger hill, during this program. Lucky timing, eh? And then he'll be talking to us, if he's still in one piece. I shouldn't have said that. His mum's here and his dad. Evening. As you know, Eddie made headlines around the world back in February, front page headlines. When the Summer Olympics came round in September, little did we anticipate that the story of another athlete would dominate the front page again, but for very different reasons.
In every round, Ben Johnson looked a different athlete to the man beaten twice in Europe a month before. Lewis, the Olympic champion, was the fastest qualifier, while Christie, the European champion, always looked a medal prospect.
Less than goal first time, and Ben Johnson got a brilliant start. It's Johnson away and clear, and Lewis is not going to catch him. Johnson wins it. Lewis second, Christie third. Christie got the bronze.
For nearly 3 days, Johnson reigned as the new Olympic champion. Then came drama and disgrace.
The urine sample of Ben Johnson, Canada, was found to contain the metabolites of a banned substance, namely stanozolol. It's an anabolic steroid. The gold medal has been withdrawn by the IOC.
So Lewis was declared champion, and attempting to again win 4 titles, had a row with officials over the jumping order before retaining the long jump gold. This, the winning leap of 8 meters 72, but the golden dream didn't last much longer. His training partner, Joe DeLoach, beat him over 200 meters. Florence Griffiths Joyner then took over as the most successful athlete in the Games. In the 100 metres, she led from the gun, even finding time to relax and smile from halfway. The winning margin was metres, and the 200 gold was never really in doubt. It was neatly wrapped up with a world record in the semi and again in the final.
But Griffith Joyner hits the front in the straight and goes right away again. She's got to win by an enormous distance. Griffith Joyner wins, and a new world record yet again. 21.33, and she's not just breaking the world record, she's taking it apart.
A brief moment for prayer before husband Al Joyner, the triple jump champion of '84, is invited to join the celebration. To be completed later with a third gold plus a silver in the relays. Meanwhile, Flojo's sister-in-law, Jackie Joyner Kersey, added to the family collection the heptathlon and long jump titles. A below par Steve Cram went out in the second round of the 800 metres. And so too did Tom McKean, whose problems were self-inflicted. First tactical, and then so physical, he was disqualified. The ever-reliable Peter Elliott was Britain's only finalist, fourth and just out of the medal. In the 10,000 metres, the new British record holder, Eamon Martin, like so many of Britain's distance runners, was nowhere near his best. And Daley Thompson, twice the decathlon champion, after a long-standing injury problem, found he'd got even more trouble. Daley was lucky to limp away from this disaster and finish fourth. Tessa Sanderson was another athlete who'd fought a long battle against injury. It was a battle she lost, and the champion didn't qualify for the final. But Fatima Whitbread did. Her season had been a catalogue of illness and injury, but she's always been a fine competitor, and this was underlined by her final throw.
It's a big throw, and it is a big throw too, and it could be near 70 metres.
70.32 metres, far enough for silver. Yvonne Murray in the 3,000 metres ran the fastest time ever by a British-born athlete and was doubly delighted. First by the bronze, and then the realisation of how fast she'd run. And also outstanding was Mark Rowland, still almost a novice in the steeplechase, but what a talent. Rowland got the bronze, a new British record, and the fifth fastest time in history. Sally Gunnell also smashed the British record in the final of the 400 metres hurdles. But Britain's strongest event was the 110 hurdles with Colin Jackson, the former world junior champion of Cardiff, John Ridgeon of Haringey, and Tony Jarrett of Haringey, all in the final.
Jackson going well in lane one. Kingdom comes through, and Kingdom's going to win it, and Jackson's going to get a silver. And Kingdom wins it, Jackson second, and Campbell in third, 12.99. And Colin Jackson's got the silver.
There was no joy, though, for Ingrid Christensen, who limped out of the 10,000 metres. Liz McColgan of Britain was left out in front, a target for the finishing speed of Bondarenko of the Soviet Union. And Liz took a well-deserved silver. It was silver, too, for the courageous Peter Elliott in the 1,500 metres. Elliott had to have pain-killing injections to be able to run at all.
Is Rono in front, and are they going to catch him? Herald comes through on the inside, and here comes Graham with a late run. It's Elliott. Elliott chasing Rono, but he can't get there. Rono wins. Elliott second. Herald third. Graham fourth. Britain's two places in the first four, but not the gold.
A splendid Olympic Games for Peter Elliott, as it promised to be for Ed Moses, twice Olympic champion and world record holder in the 400 hurdles. But when Moses woke up, it was to a rare defeat.
And Phillips is leading Ed Moses. And Andre Phillips is ahead. And this is the demise. Has Andre Phillips and Diabar. Diabar, no. Phillips gets it. Diabar second. Moses third. 47.2. What a run by Andre Phillips.
Bubka of the Soviet Union was another world champion in trouble. But this superb final attempt at 590 salvaged the gold medal. While Butch Reynolds, the 400 metres world record holder, was another beaten favourite. He was second best to Steve Lewis, the youngest 1988 Olympic track champion, at only 19. Linford Christie missed the first round of the sprint relay because of a doubtful dope test, but was cleared for the final and took the vital last leg.
Off they go. No break in the echelon yet. Desai Williams going well for Canada on the inside. The Soviets going well outside Great Britain. The baton safe for Great Britain. Regis has got a lot of work to do. The Soviets are away. They've opened up 3 meters, and West Germany have closed down on Great Britain as well. And so it's tough at the moment. And Mickey McFarlane's got a lot of work to do, but he's got a good exchange. The Soviets are in the lead. And coming well are West Germany. It's up to Linford Christie if he can bring them down, but the Soviets are away. Italy going well. Linford Christie's in for a medal. He's going past, and he's up to the Soviet. It's going to be silver for Great Britain. The Russians hang on. Christie gets the silver for Great Britain, and that was a tremendous run.
Linford, you had a great Olympics. What was the best thing?
Well, I think breaking 10 seconds for 100 meters.
Yeah, because it's now taken you into a whole new ball game, as it were, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, being the first European to do that, I mean, opens up now. Anything can happen.
What about all that drugs hassle, though? Did that spoil the experience for you?
Well, at first I thought it was going to, but I just forgot all about the bad things, and, you know, there were some good parts there too.
Remember the good bits. What about the season to come now? What happens?
Well, obviously to try and go faster. I think we're aiming to, you know, maybe go under 20 seconds for the 200 meters.
Great. Smashing. We've got a cup of tea for you afterwards, but Lapsang Souchong, not ginseng, okay? Peter Elliott, of course, was on drugs, but painkillers, very allowable. What has that meant to you since, though? Because you've suffered badly with injuries.
That's right. Since getting back, I haven't been able to sort of get back into full training. I had a stint in hospital. I'm still having sort of blood tests, things like that. But at the moment, the injury seems to be clearing up nicely, and I hope to resume full training by about Christmas.
So you got any chance of a season ahead?
Oh yeah, I'm very sure that I'll have a full season. I said that as long as I can sort of get in full training by January the 1st, I know I'll be competing next year. And I'm ahead now of what I expected to be doing, so I'm hoping for a good season next year.
Will you still be a part-timer, or will you go full-time into athletics?
No, I'll still be sort of part-time. I still enjoy the work I do back home, so I just, for me, as an individual, it suits me.
3 silver medals between them, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed.
We're joined tonight by a few more cricketers than usual. For us, that's one of the happier spin-offs of the cancellation of England's tour to India. So a quiet winter after an uncomfortable summer at the hands of the West Indies. Mike Gatting was one of 4 England captains who found the going got tougher and tougher.
Mike Gatting, man in possession. His early cheerfulness soon departed. John Embury at Lord's, Chris Cowdery at Leeds, and Graham Gooch for the last test, in a season which saw the biggest name a spectator.
Well, I've been privileged. I thought I'd seen most things in cricket, but I was very privileged to see Graham get 405 not out against Somerset.
Graham Hick, with 1,000 runs in May, was the best batsman in county cricket. Richard Hadley has become the #1 bowler in the history of Test cricket, a master craftsman. His record 374th victim came against India in Bangalore. England won the Texaco trophy 3-0, drew the first test, and Graham Dilley in the Lord's test did raise hopes with his 5 for 55.
Oh, and that's out. That's out. There's the wicket that England wanted above all.
Malcolm Marshall kept on getting wickets, 7 in the first test and now 10 at Lord's, much to England's discomfort. A delighted 25,000 Saturday spectators saw Viv Richards and Gordon Greenidge in top form.
There it is. Glorious 100.
Alan Lamb got his 100, but 740 was the latest finish to a day's Test cricket for 111 years. West Indies 1 up 3 to play. Mike Gatting was recalled as a player for Manchester, but Malcolm Marshall, in helpful conditions, again turned England's hopes inside out. Painful for the faithful few. In the second innings, he took 7 for 22 in a procession of England wickets. Gooch first, then Gatting, and Gower.
Oh, well, one followed by another, almost inevitable.
England even failed to last out until the rains came. West Indies 2 up and 2 to play. The Cowdery leadership began and ended at Leeds, and at one stage England almost sank without trace.
I can't help it if it's a burst bite. What's coming up, can I? First bite, there's water coming up. Not my fault, that.
Dickie Bird's discomfort was shared by England. Alan Lamb did come to the rescue until he tore a calf muscle. 66 retired hurt. Then back came the doom and gloom. David Gower needed just 2 runs to complete 7,000 in tests. He got those, but they were his last runs in the series. West Indies won by 10 wickets and took the series 3-0. The 5th test at the Oval and Graham Gooch's turn to lead. Neil Foster's 5 for 64 helped England to a first innings lead. But the West Indies lost only 2 wickets in knocking off the runs to make it 4-0. Mission accomplished for Vivian Richards. England did beat Sri Lanka, the first win for 18 tests, and Graham Gooch was chosen captain for India, a tour that never went. All the disasters have since led to the resignation of Peter May as chairman of selectors. Aspiring captains Mark Nicholas and Kim Barnett met in the Benson and Hedges Cup final. It was Steve Jeffries taking 3 wickets in 4 balls who won the cup for Hampshire in their first one-day final. A vandalised pitch at Worcester was not enough to stop the Team of the Year, Worcestershire, from winning the Britannic Assurance County Championship. They were 1 point ahead of Kent.
That's it.
Phil Neal's team headed the Sunday League table too, but Lancashire won the new Refuge Assurance Cup final. In the NatWest final, the prolific Hick went for naught. But Mike Gatting, still a popular figure in the game, got naught without facing a single ball. Young Ram Prakash was the star.
A real pedigree stroke.
And so Mike Gatting, whose year was ripped apart by one problem after another, was a happier man.
Well, the England rugby union team had 5 captains in 1988. But the latest of them, Will Carling, is looking ahead to a promising season, certainly after the recent victory over Australia. Welcome to him, and to Ireland's Nigel Carr, whose career has sadly been cut short by injuries sustained in a car bomb incident last year. The All Blacks, as Jonathan Davis and the Welsh were to find out in the summer, continue to set standards in the world game. But at home, Wales were the team to beat.
In the Five Nations Championship, Wales had something to sing about for the first time in the 80s. A Triple Crown side, whose revival began at Twickenham, with 2 brilliant three-quarter-line tries rounded off by Adrian Hadley. The match with Scotland in Cardiff was a classic, as Jonathan Davies, with 2 drop goals and this try, stamped his class. But it was the Welsh pack who took the overall honours, fighting back to set up the final victory and the match-winning score.
Ryan Evans all the way. Oh, what a blistering run by Evans. That is a magnificent try.
The Triple Crown triumph came in Dublin, when another of those Paul Thorburn specials sealed a 3-point victory in injury time. But Grand Slam aspirations were doused in a Cardiff downpour, as France secured a share of the championship with a 1-point victory. But championship form was soon put in perspective by crushing defeats for Wales and England down under. On the club front, a world record 56,000 saw Llanelli win the Schweppes Cup, whilst Leicester became England's first Courage League champions. A new season, and last month for young Will Carling, a dream captaincy debut, as England turned the tables on Australia and restored British rugby pride.
Underwood, is he clear? Underwood it is. The try is given.
It was a former rugby union player who captured many of the rugby league headlines. Martin Offiah's 44 tries were often spectacular, as he helped Widnes to the league and premiership double. He also won the Player of the Year. The game showpiece, the Challenge Cup final at Wembley, saw Rugby League's glamour club Wigan turn on the style. All of their players were at their peak.
Look at Lydon go here. He's got Henry inside him. He's going all the way. What a try! That must be one of the all-time great tries at Wembley.
Victory over Halifax gave them their 8th Wembley win. No club can match that. The Great Britain tour down under was eagerly anticipated, but the first 2 tests were won by Australia, with no real worries. but it all changed in the World Cup match.
This Henderson Gill winding up as a chase, but that's a great try. Oh, Great Britain, and he does a bit of a boogie. And the Union Jack flags here have gone absolutely crazy.
Triumph then from Mal Reilly, the Great Britain coach, but a defeat in New Zealand ended his World Cup hopes.
No Ryder Cup this year, but that didn't prevent Britain's amateur men winning the big one in Sweden. They struggled home with the Eisenhower Trophy, the World Amateur Team Championship, our third success in the competition. And this more modest but no less illustrious trophy, this is the Curtis Cup, which stays in Britain after our amateur women completed a successful defence against the USA at Royal St George's. Congratulations to our amateur men and our amateur women. Among the professional ranks, British and European success continued, led by Sandy Lyle and Nick Faldo. The weather may have varied, but the golf remained outstanding.
At times, we had to grope our way through the fog to find any golfers. But when we did, they kept us enthralled. Roger Davis, early in the season, in the Epsom Grand Prix. At the Open, Lanny Watkins.
Hello, we've done it. Oh, we've done it indeed. Well, would you believe it?
And in the US PGA, Paul Azinger. But we begin at Augusta in April with Sandy Lyle. Could he become the first British golfer to win the Masters? Sandy kept us wondering all the way to the finish. His two-shot lead was drowned here at the short 12th.
Oh, it may have dribbled back in the water. Yes, it's fallen back in the water.
So, a nail-biting finale. Lyle must get a birdie 3 at the 18th to win.
Lyle with a 1-iron needs a good hit. Now, has he put it in the bunker? Oh, I think he may have. Oh, he's put it in the sand. I wonder what he's thinking now. Supporters and all of us who play and love the game of golf, absolutely superb.
The coveted green jacket for the 117th Open Championship, where rain held up the finish until Monday. Nick Price from Zimbabwe led by 2 strokes. He'd been in this position before, at Troon in '82, and let it slip. Would it all come right this time? This marvellous approach shot at the 7th set up an eagle 3 for Nick, and things were looking good. But that was reckoning without this man. Seve Ballesteros comes up with his reply at that same 7th hole. He matches Price's eagle 3. Price continued to play some magical shots.
What a fantastic stroke.
But somehow, Seve conjured up even more brilliance.
Oh, look at that. Oh, what a moment to produce a stroke like that.
Ballesteros, the leader by 1 at the final hole. He just needs to be safe. He flirts with danger, but the lie's good. Seve comes back in triumph to Lytham, where he first won the Open in '79. Price also played magnificently, but what can you do when Ballesteros performs like a man inspired?
How'd you like that, senor? Ballesteros, who's almost looked of as one of ours. In she goes. 65 strokes. Seve is once more the champion.
Nick Faldo's year was, for the most part, frustrating. He was runner-up 8 times, including the US Open at Brookline. Here, Curtis Strange salvaged some of America's pride in the sweltering Massachusetts heat.
What a beautiful shot.
In the end, Strange beat Faldo in a playoff. In the US PGA, another American, Jeff Sluman, won his first major victory. Ian Woosnam followed his success of '87 by taking our PGA title and the European Open. Our girls retained the Curtis Cup, beating America 11-7, one of the finest team performances of the year. And Ireland's surprise win in the Dunhill Cup was another splendid achievement. They beat America, England and Australia. But we finish as we began, with one of the world's most successful golfers, Sandy Lyle. His win in the World Match Play against Nick Faldo was another milestone in a fabulous career that still has a long way to go.
Sandy first, Nick second really sums up the season for both of you, I think. Sandy, when you look back over your career, at the end of your career, the great shots, the key shots, that bunker shot on the 18th at Augusta is going to rate pretty highly, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so, yes. It was unexpected at the time, but it was needed.
And the putt was no gimme, was it?
No, it was outside the leather. At least 10 feet at least.
But you've won major championships before, you've won the Open before, but what impact on your career has being US Masters champion been?
I think it was always on the shopping list for me to win the Masters. It's been going 50 years or so in America. It's a lot of tradition there, a lot of well-known players have won there. And it was just something I had to try and win. It was like winning a gold medal in the Olympics, I suppose. It was a challenge, and it was very nice to receive it.
And Nick, second so many times this season. You'd probably say, though, you'd never played better, though.
No, I'd take that again, yes, obviously. If I can play as consistently as that for the next 5 years, I'll be very happy.
Targets for next year, dominated really by the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, we've got that. So that's going to be, obviously, a great event for European golf. And we, the two of us, have the majors again, which obviously are the key.
We'll keep it going into 1989, especially at the Belfry in September. Nick Faldo and Sandy Lyle.
Well, it was the end of an era in Grand Prix motor racing this year. We've seen the last of the turbocharged cars for the foreseeable future anyway. It could mean that one manufacturer might not have things all their own way in future. But in 1988, the team founded by the late Bruce McLaren could do little wrong.
The British McLaren team used their turbo power to burn off the opposition in virtually every round. Alain Prost utterly dominant with teammate Ayrton Senna. Round 1 on Senna's home ground.
A magnificent 5th Brazilian Grand Prix victory in 8 years, and he takes it. Alain Prost wins for McLaren.
Prost's second place behind Senna at Imola made him the highest ever point scorer. After 2 years in the hunt, Nigel Mansell was forced to take a back seat, as the question at race after race was, would it be Senna or would it be Prost?
Prost going down the inside. And Prost has got inside Senna. Brilliant piece of driving by Alain Prost.
Prost wins the French Grand Prix. In all, he would win 7 rounds of the championship, Senna 8, plus 13 pole positions. Not much went wrong for the McLaren drivers. Senna crashed out while leading in Monaco. Prost pulled out in the rain of Silverstone, where the victors' congratulations were for second-place Mansell in the Williams, his best drive of the season, and the Silverstone crowd once again enjoyed the celebrations. Mid-season and the death of Enzo Ferrari, perhaps the most influential figure in modern motor racing. His cars won more Grand Prix than any other, and at the Italian Grand Prix, an appropriate tribute.
Ferrari wins! Ferrari second!
The victory built on Senna's mishap at the chicane while leading. Ferrari's success, which Nigel Mansell is hoping to add to next season. Italy was the only race of the championship that McLaren didn't win. With their Honda power, the climax to the season was fittingly in Japan, where Senna confirmed his first world championship. 15 wins for McLaren this season. No team has dominated in quite that style. On 3 wheels, Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt retained their World Sidecar Championship. Their title challenge looked hopeless in mid-season, but a run of victories was once again sparked off by success in the British Grand Prix at Donington.
He's going for it! Oh my goodness, he's through!
Sports car racing produced more British World Championship success. In the C2 class, another world title for Gordon Spice and Ray Bellham. Gordon's 4th consecutive title, the 3rd for Bellham. In June, British motorsport fans flocked in their tens of thousands to Lamar. Johnny Dumfries, Andy Wallace and Jan Lammers with Jaguar's first Le Mans victory for 31 years. But Martin Brundle was on his way to the driver's title, en route taking Jaguar to manufacturer's success. This victory at Brands Hatch delighted a huge crowd enjoying a resurgence of sports car racing and another British world sports car champion in Martin Brundle.
Now in football, Liverpool continue to set the standard in the English League that other clubs aspire to. For the time being, of course, they remain out of European competition. The behaviour of the hooligan element who followed England to Germany in the summer helped postpone any change in that situation. The England team had enough problems on the field.
Lifted the 1988 European Champions Cup. In England, Liverpool reigned supreme in the First Division.
Beardsley. Oh, brilliantly done by Peter Beardsley. McMahon. McMahon! Oh, a shame. Beardsley, he seems to be able to find space and find Aldridge. And that is another superb Liverpool goal. Barnes against Checkle. Oh, look at Barnes here. They're waiting for the pullback. Beardsley! Oh! A glorious goal again for Liverpool.
Their 9th championship in the last 13 seasons. Lower down, Steve Bull scored 52 goals as Wolves won the 4th Division Championship and the Sherpa Van Trophy. Who says they don't come back? But will Newport County, demoted from the Barclays League to the GM Vauxhall Conference, the money and the luck just ran out. Ray Harford steered Luton Town to the Littlewoods Cup, their first major honour in 103 years. Celtic have lost count of theirs, but it was still nice to regain the championship from Rangers.
Trying to swing it round, that's a very good ball. Walker has done it. What a fine goal.
So much for the Premier League. Now, what about the Scottish Cup final against Dundee United?
Gallagher, goal! Oh, what a superb goal! Well, it's a better one, it's equaliser. McIntyre. The Lower won this time, and McIntyre.
The double for Celtic to spice up their centenary celebrations. What a first season back in paradise for Billy McNeil, whose compatriot, Kenny Dalglish, was nearing his 2nd double. Surely Liverpool wouldn't lose to Wimbledon.
Sanchez was in there, and that's a goal for Wimbledon. Laurie Sanchez. There is Aldridge, Beardsley. Well, he might score here. Penalty. Goodyear on Aldridge. Wimbledon protests the decision. Goodyear thinks he played the ball. Never has a penalty been missed in the FA Cup final at Wembley. And he saved it and made history.
The whole club had made history, from the Southern League to the FA Cup in just 11 years. The buskers spoiled the party for the highly paid orchestra, but it was music to the ears of down-to-earth football people like Bobby Gould and Don Howe. Despite being criticised in some quarters for their rudimentary approach, these boys gave hope to footballers everywhere. You can fulfil your dreams.
Pat Edery's year on the flat, and already the new national hunt season belongs to Peter Scudamore. Peter, currently on a few days off, courtesy of the Jockey Club stewards, has John Joe O'Neill's record of 149 winners well in his sights, 89 so far this season. But the Grand National has still eluded him and David Nicholson, but not, of course, Brendan Powell and David Ellsworth. Their Aintree triumph back in April was preceded by a famous winner of the past being duly honoured.
The
great Redrum and the Princess Royal never jumped Aintree together, but they both seemed to approve of Philip Blacker's lifelike sculpture. The royal ceremony was always going to be a hard act to follow. But Rhyme and Reason, the Grand National second favourite, rose to the occasion. His mistake at first beaches would have accounted for most of his rivals. His undercarriage literally ploughed a furrow in the turf. But remarkably, despite having injured a hock, he and Brendan Powell got back up, galloped on, and battled their way to one of the bravest victories since Redrum.
Rhyme and Reason is reducing his lead. Rhyme and Reason is cutting it down as they race into the final 100 yards. Over on the far side is Donovan, and on the near side is Rhyme and Reason. Rhyme and Reason is beginning to get up. He's going to win it as they come to the line. Rhyme and Reason have won the National.
Although no one knew it at the time, it was to be his last race. A lifelong memory for Brendan Powell and emotional owner Juliet Reed. But inevitably, Horse of the Year was Desert Orchid. At Liverpool, after 19 wins on a right-hand course, he finally got it right, going left. Those two big race wins clinched the first ever trainer's title for David Ellsworth. But meanwhile, a positive dope test on another of his horses, Cabby's Clown, revealed traces of anabolic steroids. After a delay of 11 months, Ellsworth finally faces the stewards next Wednesday. At Cheltenham in the Gold Cup, Cabby's Clown was no match for Charter Party.
Charter Party's driving away now from Cabby's Clown, and at the line, Charter Party wins the 1988 Gold Cup from Cabby's Clown in second.
A triumph for Ulsterman Richard Dunwoody and for Royal trainer David Nicholson, who'd taken 18 years to saddle his first winner at the festival. Meanwhile, his former jockey Peter Scudamore won the champion hurdle on Celtic shot for the great Fred Winter, still recovering from a stroke. Jockey Paul Croucher on Aquilipa enjoyed his greatest moment. 5 months later, he was dead, a life wasted in a burnt-out car. On the flat, with Derby winner Kayazi, it was a case of handsome is as handsome does. In the Irish Derby, after sustaining a serious injury 4 furlongs from home, Kayazi showed the courage of a lion to beat Insan by a short hair, while Diminuendo's success in the Oaks ensured that Sheikh Mohammed and Henry Cecil remained leading owner and champion trainer. At Royal Ascot, the pomp and splendour of Ladies' Day was undermined by drama and controversy in the Gold Cup. When El Conquistador unseated his rider, to the amazement of almost everyone there, the blame was attributed to Royal Gate, the runaway winner in record time. He was disqualified and jockey Cash Asmussen suspended. Far more serious was the fall of Steve Cawthon at Goodwood on August 26th. Crushed by half a ton of racehorse, Steve escaped with concussion and a broken bone in his neck. After some speculation about his future, Steve plans to resume riding next spring. So the brilliant Pat Edery, despite falling short of 200 winners, regained his title. While Toto, although losing the Arc, was voted Horse of the Year. His surge from last to first in the King George left a special memory.
Toto with the advantage as they race into the closing stages. It's Toto from up one and Tony Benn as they race towards the line. Toto wins the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes.
As we've already recalled, the Ben Johnson affair dominated the story of the Summer Olympics. Weightlifting was a sport that had its problems too. But here's a man who had absolutely no problems at all. This is what this gentleman was capable of lifting at the Games. Cleaning and jerking. Ladies and gentlemen, the world record holder and Olympic champion from Turkey, Naim Suleymanoglu. Naim, they tell me that you're learning English, right?
A little.
A little. When did you start weightlifting? I believe you started very young.
When I was 10.
10 years of
Yes.
age? Yeah. And tomorrow, I believe, you're off to visit a very important person, yes?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Where are you learning this English, Naim?
Yeah, yes, tomorrow.
Yeah. You're going to the States?
I am going to Washington.
Yes?
Yeah.
And you're going to meet President Reagan, I know that.
Yeah.
Could I ask you to come and stand here for a moment? I don't know the Turkish for this.
Yes.
Now, you come and stand here. I want to explain something to you, ladies and gentlemen. What you saw Naeem lifting just now was the... Can I have you?
Yeah, no problem. All right.
What are you weighing in at the moment, Frank?
16 stone 10 this.
Oh, you've got to lose a couple of pounds.
A couple of pounds.
Couple of pounds. 16.10.
Yeah.
I'm a svelte 13.10.
And that's a small dumpling.
You learnt that word? No, you wouldn't have done. Naeem can lift us together.
And Harry as well, I think.
And probably. Thank you very much. I knew you'd mention him somewhere. I want a word with you later.
Cheers, all right. Cheers,
all right. Thank you very much indeed. Well, there's no doubt at all that the Koreans proved superb Olympic hosts this year. The games were secure, the facilities unparalleled, and for the first time in years, everybody came. It meant, of course, that competition was as fierce as could be. But as ever, Britain produced medalists right across the board.
The Olympic pool, where in the men's 100 metres breaststroke, Adrian Moorhouse was the very early British gold medal hope. He was the fastest of the qualifiers, but had seemingly left himself with an impossible task down the final length. Then came the fight back, with excited parents urging him on.
This is a tremendous finish. It's going to be a fingertip touch, and Moorhouse has got it. Goal for Britain.
After the exertion and the emotion, Moorhouse failed to qualify for the 200 breaststroke final, where Britain had another medal prospect, Nick Gillingham.
Nick Gillingham is coming back, and he's coming back very fast. It's just too far, and Joseph Sabo has won the gold medal. Nick Gillingham has won the silver.
100 metres butterfly final, and Britain's Andy Jameson is beaten into third place. The winner, Anthony Nesty, the first ever gold for Suriname, and the first black swimmer to become an Olympic champion. But bronze for Jameson. Top male swimmer of the Games, as expected, the American Matt Biondi. 5 golds, a silver and a bronze. But beating that achievement, East Germany's Kristin Otto. From 6 events, 6 gold medals. Defending Olympic champion Greg Louganis, his penultimate dive in the springboard competition.
And that's disaster for Louganis. Louganis hits the board. That is disaster.
In fact, amazingly, it was just 7 stitches. Louganis refused to watch a replay. He said if he did, he'd never dive again. His final dive to clinch victory was a moment of supreme courage. To successfully defend his highboard title, Louganis had to produce another final dive of near perfection.
The crowd are on the feet for the greatest diver ever in the world, and you couldn't have written the story better.
The gymnastic story was one of Soviet domination in the men's competition. World champion Dmitry Bilazerchev against 2 of his compatriots. There was Vladimir Artemov, the Soviet national champion. And Valery Lukin, the European champion. A Soviet clean sweep, just as in the World Championships, with Artemov taking the individual gold. But in the women's competition, Romanian Daniela Silivash mounted a strong challenge to the Soviet Union's Elena Shushanova. But Shushanova's final vault was judged perfect. She takes the all-round title from a tearful Silivash, who made up for it with 3 golds of her own in the individual apparatus. 3-day event. Britain silver medalists last time, but Captain Mark Phillips has got the worst of the conditions for the team's opening dressage. The sun is out for the cross-country, but so is Captain Phillips's luck as Cartier goes lame. So the pressure on the remaining 3 members of the team, Ian Stark, Virginia Leng, and young Karen Straker.
Sit back, sit back, sit back, sit back, sit back. Sugar, she's gone.
Karen Straker in the Royal Pond and Lucinda Green nearly unsaddled in the commentary box. Virginia Leng did little to calm the nerves.
Oh, my word, she's well held.
Britain sitting tight in second place, but no one could match the class of defending champion Mark Todd.
I think we are watching one of the all-time stars of three-day eventing here.
In fact, two of the all-time stars, Mark Todd and Charisma. Ian Stark on his way to a clear round in the show jumping element, which was to win him the individual silver on Sawati, and it helped Britain to retain the silver in the team competition. So Britain maintained a record of winning equestrian medals in all but 2 Olympics since the war. Virginia Leng takes the individual bronze, but the stars, Mark Todd and Charisma, retaining the title they won for New Zealand 4 years ago. David Broome was competing in his third games, a full 28 years after his first. Countryman lost a shoe, Broome finished just outside the medals, but there was plenty of British success elsewhere.
Lift our hands up to the sky. The morning come helps us to live in harmony. Follow time. Hand in hand we stand all across the land. We can make this world a better place in which to live. Hand in hand we can start to understand, breaking down the walls that come between us for all time.
Oh, wiggle of the hips. Oh, come on, Knight. Unbelievable.
You had to suspend belief occasionally in the boxing as well. An early bout in the bantamweight division. Christoph of Bulgaria getting the decision against Jung Il Byun of Korea. The scenes that followed disgraced the sport and severely embarrassed the Olympic hosts. The protest became more peaceful as Jung Il Byun staged a sit-down that lasted over an hour, found its own curious place in the record books, and did nothing to change the result. Some results needed changing. Roy Jones completely dominating his light middleweight final against another Korean, Si-Hun Park. The verdict is in no doubt, or so it would seem.
3-2 in the blue
Oh,
corner.
no. An outrageous decision, in my opinion, but certainly the least deserved gold medal.
No disputing the boxing medal that Britain claimed, bronze for Richard Woodhall, also light middleweight. The concentration and determination on the faces of Steve Redgrave and Andy Holmes. This is the final of the Coxless pair, the first part of their challenge for double gold.
Holmes and Redgrave win for Britain. The world champions add the Olympic medals to their collection.
But their bid to add the Cox pair title the following day would provide too exhausting a task. Instead, it was bronze in the Coxed event for Britain's most dedicated oarsman. And so to the men's hockey. Britain well prepared and highly fancied, but they got off to a bad start, conceding a late equaliser to Korea in their opening group match. A win against Canada was then followed by a last-minute drama against West Germany. 1-1, West German penalty.
It's in, a vital victory in this pool for West Germany.
Britain now had to win their remaining pool matches. They beat the Soviet Union 3-1, and then it was India.
Curley in the return pass from Milan. Curley into the circle, shoots, it's in! That's a classic goal by Sean Curley, and it could be the one that counts.
So with mounting excitement, Britain were in the semi-finals against Australia. 2 goals apiece, and that man Sean Curley on a hat-trick.
Can he create here? He takes it to the circle. It's in! The goal is given.
Britain in the final, and once more, it's West Germany.
Nicely done by Curley. Batchelor. Curley again. Shawani over this side. Comes to Shawani. Works his opening. Brilliant. Brilliant. Barber, switch. Oh, and it's in. Sean Curley scores Britain's second. Bachelor of Southgate, and Shawani of Starport makes it 3. And the players are off the bench this time. Where were the Germans? But frankly, who cares? On top of the world of hockey, the gold medal winners of the 1988 Olympic Games.
Well, I'm delighted to say that the Great Britain gold medal winning hockey squad, led by team manager Roger Self, have been named for the second time on this programme as Team of the Year. And to make the award, a man who knows all about winning Olympic gold medals, Sebastian Coe.
Now, as you know, if you've been watching this program down the years, that we always have a really serious bit. I don't know who thinks them up, but I'd like to get my... No. Rifle range ducks, ducks, rifle range. And you're probably wondering what that's all about. Well, the idea is to shoot the ducks down, and for every duck, we give some money to children in need. So, who would you pick to do the shooting? So would I. I'd pick a gold medalist and a silver medalist from the Olympics in shooting, Malcolm Cooper and Alistair Allen. Gentlemen. First of all, congratulations on the medals each. We broke your gun at the Olympics, didn't we?
You did indeed, Desmond. I thought since you're going to start following us in the future, and we can't afford the downtime, I thought I'd present this so that...
the glue?
Yeah.
For the gun?
Your team can carry it, because we carry enough junk already.
Very good indeed, very good. Alistair, are you used to doing things standing up?
I have been also known to perform quite well in the prone position, but...
Have you?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, of course, you won your medals in 3-position shooting, didn't you? Now, are you used to air guns? You fire air guns as well, don't you? Because I know you won your medals with 2.2 rifles, didn't you?
Yes, that's right.
Right. So here are the air guns, air rifles, I should say. You've got the gold ducks.
Right.
Right. You've got the silver ducks. Yes, I know they're white, but you can pretend they're silver ducks, okay? So the idea is to knock them down, and all the money goes to charity. We like to give a little bit on this program too, and you're going to help the cause, so pick up my musket.
I hope our shooting's better than the English football team. That's all.
Hope so too. Now, wait a minute, they've got to load first. You've loaded. You've got to load each time. You've got a minute.
A minute, right.
Starting from now.
God, the loading's a problem.
Haven't you got any rifles, air rifles, that sort of...
No, unfortunately.
You have to keep putting the pellets in, I see. You're going well, though.
How many ducks have you got behind
you? You've been carrying some crafty training, Joe.
Oh, you got 2 down there. Yeah. That was clever.
This is
I
where
hope
you
somebody's counting, because it's quite a bit of money for children in need. You've got 25 seconds left. You missed one.
Who missed?
John.
No.
Well, he had 2 on the other shot, didn't he?
Yeah. Right. You've got 15 seconds left. 8 seconds.
I got yours, Jock.
2 seconds, 1 second, that's it, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed. They're sports, ladies and gentlemen, and... There we are. 900 for children in need. You made it look easy. I'm going to have a go.
Ah.
Could I ask my armourer, please, for the BBC rifle?
Do you mind if we hide?
Good judge. The BBC rifle. It won't work. All right, now, let's see what can happen here. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. There's the money. I got 50 quid for them.
Well, in boxing, where there are so many versions of so many world titles, Mike Tyson remained undisputed and unavailable. But among the British boxers who had the chance to fight for top honours, one of them was out to regain his position as champion of the world.
Lloyd Hanigan had lost his title to Jorge Vaca 6 months earlier on a controversial technical decision. This was the return.
If ever you've seen a man determined to get his title back, this is it. Hanigan trying to find one swinging punch with which to drop his man, and he can't quite do it. He's got him! He's got him over! He had to go. Remorseless attack. And Hanigan got him in round 3, and he's not going to beat the count. He's hurt. He's hurt. And he's out.
Hanigan boxed again in the summer, beating a Korean challenger, Young Kil Chung, in 5 rounds. Now he's all set for his best-ever payday against the American Marlon Starling. Northern Ireland flyweight Dave McCauley and Fidel Bassa of Colombia had produced the fight of the year in 1987. Bassa had won just. McCauley's second chance came in April. This time, though, he couldn't really get going, and Bassa retained his WBA crown. McCauley's effort was hampered by a broken nose. Duke McKenzie had waited a long time for his world challenge. It came at last 2 months ago. The defending IBF flyweight champion was Rolando Bohol of the Philippines.
Got him. Over he goes in the 11th round. What a performance this has been by McKenzie, and I don't think he's got the strength to get up off the floor. He's made it. Is he going to be allowed to carry on? He is. He only just beat the count. Over he goes again. He's absolutely sold out. All the strength has been drained from him. 6. The towel has come in from his corner, and McKenzie has collapsed in sheer ecstasy.
McKenzie, who was back in action last week, has now set his sights on winning a super flyweight championship as well. The promoters of the WBC super featherweight title fight between South African Brian Mitchell and Londoner Jim McDonnell needed a High Court injunction to get the fight on. Anti-apartheid demonstrators still made their presence felt, but in the ring, Mitchell proved to be a fine champion. McDonnell did put up a valiant challenge, but there was no argument about Mitchell's unanimous points win. The year began well for the undisputed heavyweight champion. In January, he beat Larry Holmes. In March, it was Tony Tubbs. In June, Michael Spinks. Since then, Mike Tyson's life has been like an episode of Dallas. For the moment, he seems to have been saved from further punishment, but his trying time has also meant an unsettled and frustrating few months for Frank Bruno.
It has been a difficult time, Frank, hasn't it, for you?
Yeah, pretty difficult, but still keeping cool under the pressure.
You've been training steadily all the time, or do you have a break and what?
I went to Jamaica to get a suntan earlier on, but doing a little bit here and there.
And you've been knocking them dead in the High Court recently?
I'm not too sure. That's the place I wouldn't like to get too familiar with, because they're a very tricky place, my lord.
I read something about you going to appear in Panto or something this Christmas.
Yeah, I was supposed to play Juliet again with the boobs, you know, but things didn't work out.
Well, the fight might be coming up now, mightn't it? I mean, what's the latest information on it? When might the fight take place?
February the 22nd was the latest, but I'm on standby whenever, you know. Whenever. Might happen in another 10 years' time, still on standby.
There's no prospect of you actually taking a fight in between, is there?
That is a difficult question, because I'm #1 contender. If I take another fight in anything, if I slip up in anything like that, I lose my #1 spot, so I'm just waiting for Mike Tyson,
right. And
if he's going to fight again.
You don't mind if the fight takes place here or in the States, do you?
I prefer the fight to take place here, but he's a champion, and champions have certain different perks, like you and Harry.
Rest assured, when the fight takes place, we're all with you, Frank.
Thank you very much, Des.
Right.
Cheers.
from a potential world champion to many more who this year have reached the top of their various fields in sports like karate, cycling, yachting, rackets, powerboat racing and bowls. And that's a sport which has produced our latest world champion, Janet Ackland, winning the Women's World Championship in New Zealand, clinching that title on Friday. Janet Ackland from Penarth, the Women's World Champion. Well, on Thursday, Britain's fly fishermen retained the individual and team world titles in Tasmania. John Pawson, the individual champion, straight to the bar to exaggerate the whole thing. But Britain has world champions in a whole range of sports.
World singles champion, indoor or out.
Terry needing snookers.
Already had 2 centuries this evening. It's all over for the 5th time. Steve Davis becomes world champion.
Well, Steve Davis certainly leads an interesting life. He can't be with us tonight, the world champion. He's competing out in Italy. Here's tonight's pictures of him in action in Milan, once again against Terry Griffiths. It's the best of 9-frame match, very early stages, but Steve building a decent break. 2 apiece in frames so far. But Stephen Hendry, who beat Steve Davis in the recent UK Championships in Preston, is with us. And Steve Davis really is the man you all measure yourself against still, isn't he?
Definitely, yeah. If you want to get to #1 in the sport, he's the man that you've got to beat on a regular basis.
How did you manage to get past him?
With great difficulty. He'd beaten me 10 times in a row before I'd beaten him last year. So especially to beat him over a long distance of frames last week was great.
Do you feel you're closing the gap on him at all?
Well, still a long way to go. I mean, he's amassed so many ranking points now. Anyone that wants to catch him will take a while.
So he's still #1, but you'll have another crack at him in the World Championship next year. Stephen Hendry, thanks very much.
Now, thank you. In this Olympic year, tennis returned to the Games after a gap of 64 years. It meant an Olympic commentary debut for Dan Maskell at the age of 80. He seemed to get the hang of it. And despite all the doubts about the tennis millionaires being part of the Olympic movement, the sport fitted in well. Nonetheless, the main objective for the tennis stars remains the Grand Slam tournaments, and especially Wimbledon, where this summer the men's title promised to be the most open for years.
John McEnroe, now 29, was one of 4 returning champions.
but he went out in his second match to the unseeded Wally Mazur of Australia. Jimmy Connors was quietly under control as usual, but failed to make the last 8. Pat Cash, defending champion, faced Boris Becker in the quarterfinals. Well, one of them had to be the fall guy, and it turned out to be Cash. Becker went on his way to meet Ivan Lendl in the semis. Boris wasted 3 match points in the third set, and so they came back the following day to finish off. Fourth set, match point again for Becker.
Going set match Becker.
Mats Wilander won the Australian, French, and later the US title. But this man, Miloslav Mickiewicz of Czechoslovakia, shot Wilander out of the Wimbledon quarterfinals and moved on to face Stefan Edberg in the semis. This was an astonishing match. Edberg lost the first 2 sets, then staged an amazing rally.
Oh, my word!
In just over 3 hours, Edberg unbelievably had fought his way to match point. The Swede was through to his first Wimbledon final, but that final on the Sunday was held up by hour after hour of pouring rain. Becker and Edberg did manage to get started, but after 22 minutes, more rain. And so back they came the next day to play in the first men's final on a Monday since 1922. Becker took the first set, but then things changed. Soon, Becker would be facing defeat in the fourth set. Edberg, it was said, hadn't cut his hair for 2 weeks to save his strength for this moment, championship point. Triumph 2 for Tony Pickard, Edberg's British coach. Together they'd laid the bogey that the young Swede didn't have the steel to win when the going was tough. Becker briefly renewed acquaintance with the trophy that had been his, then left the glory to Edberg. But later, in the Olympic Games in Seoul, Edberg had to be content with a bronze. The gold went to Miloslav Mickiewicz.
There it is.
He beat Tim Mayotte, the American, in the final, to become the first Olympic gold medalist in tennis for 64 years. At Melbourne in January, the dawn of a new era. Steffi Graf won the Australian title, then the French. The Grand Slam beckoned. At Wimbledon, the old guard clashed in the semi-finals. Martina and Chris, their 78th match, and another epic. 3 sets, lasting more than 2 hours.
Yes! Can't believe it.
It was such a pity it had to end on a controversial line call. Chrissy thought this was in, but the umpire didn't. A tough way to go out, particularly if it proves to be Chris Effort's farewell centre court appearance. So now the teenage Steffi marched towards another leg of the Grand Slam against 31-year-old Martina, who was trying to win Wimbledon a record 9th time. Although Steffi lost the first set, she put together a dazzling recovery.
Oh, that's tremendous. Absolutely wonderful.
She dropped only 3 games in the last 2 sets.
She's done it. It's all over.
Martina bowed out gracefully, and at 19, Steffi Graf became the youngest girl to win since Little Mo back in 1952. She thrust all the challengers aside, and she clinched the Grand Slam in the US Open. Then it was on to the Olympics, and a rapturous reception. Once again, she was quite unstoppable, and there was nothing Gabriella Sabatini could do about it in the final.
That's it.
What a graphic year it's been. Grand Slam, gold medal. This young lady will lead women's tennis well into the 90s.
Now, just for a moment, let's take you to Miami Beach. We were looking for a suave, sophisticated man of the world in that particular part of Florida for a special job. This man qualifies a superstar of his time and these days a local resident, the former 3 times Wimbledon champion, Fred Perry.
Hello, Desmond. I remember in the old days of radio, you had a much better script writer than you got right now. Hello, Steffi. How are you? Feeling better?
Yeah, getting better.
Well, it's very kind of you to get out of a sick bed to come and help with this little ceremony today. And it's my pleasure, on behalf of the BBC Television Sport viewers, to present you with this trophy as the International Personality of the Year for 1988. My heartiest congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. First of all, I want to thank all the viewers of BBC who wrote in and voted for me. And really to the ones who didn't vote for me, I'm not really mad about you. But why the heck did you all choose me, Mr. Perry?
Well, after all, you did win a small tournament in England this year.
Well, to put it this way. Yes, it was my biggest win ever and the best match I've ever won. So I was really thrilled about it. And I think the people felt how I really enjoyed it. And thank you again for all your help, all my fans, and hope to see you next year in Wimbledon again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steffi Graf. Now, we saw the eagle fly earlier in his first ski jump of the season at Thunder Bay in Canada. That was on the smaller hill. We're about to see Eddie go again. No end to the excitement. This is on the larger hill. Eddie appears to be ready. Here goes Eddie. He'll go much further this time.
Will be 25 years old on Monday.
Looking good. There's Eddie. Active again. Great to see him in action.
64 meters.
Still a huge hero in Canada. Now, that was a few moments ago, and Eddie is with us. Eddie, can you hear us? Good to see you.
Hello!
He can hear us. Eddie, you came, I think, you came 73rd on the first hill. How did you do on that second one?
On the big hill?
Not
bad, not bad. I felt a lot better. My training's going pretty good, and I felt pretty good in the competition.
Yeah.
I keep hearing.
What position did you come on that one then?
A 72nd.
Oh, that's good. It's an improvement, Eddie.
Yes, it is.
You say you've been training hard. Who have you been training? Who have you been training with?
I've been training with the Norwegians. I've got a Norwegian trainer, Geir Hammer. We're going very, very well, but it's going to take a little time before it starts showing in my competitions.
Yeah.
But hopefully within the next year or so, I should be better.
You were a huge star there in Canada earlier in the year. Are you still as popular? They still coming for the autographs?
Oh, yeah, more than ever.
More than ever?
More than ever. Yeah, it's great. It must be my looks or something.
I want to know what you were doing all summer.
What about... Oh, gee. I've been doing lots of TV work, radio work, opening shows all around the world. I've been to Disney World, doing some motor racing, some horse racing, jumping, just about everything.
Fairly relaxing time then, Eddie.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, you know, I'm really laid back.
What are the plans for the next few months, Eddie?
Well, tomorrow I'm off to Detroit. We're trying to fix up a fight with a boxer, Mike Tyson.
That's wise.
So Frank, no mean.
Listen, Eddie, before you go, your mum and dad are here. They can hear you, but you won't be able to hear them. But just say hello to them, eh?
Hi, Mum.
Very good, Eddie. He's brought us a lot of fun, and he's a boy with an awful lot of guts. Well, a fortnight after the Olympic flame was extinguished in Seoul, it was relit at the very same stadium for the Paralympics, the first time this has happened since Tokyo in 1964. an event that attracted Olympic-sized crowds, Olympic-sized dedication, but a kind of courage that even Olympic champions would find hard to match.
South Korea was joyous and colourful.
Athletes march in.
Challenge and overcoming was the theme of the opening ceremony, a fitting overture to the biggest Paralympics ever. 60,000 saw Bob Matthews lead in the British team, and our blind middle-distance runner went on to win the 8, the 15 and the 5,000 metres. The GB team came third in the medal table, behind the United States and West Germany, winning 53 bronze, 67 silver and 62 gold medals, the first of which was won by Isabel Barr, who set a new world record in the discus. In track and field, nearly all our athletes achieved personal best performances. In lane 8, the 200 metres, Nigel Coulter from Otley wins gold and completes the sprint double. He also set a new world record in the high jump of 1.91 metres. Mike Walker from Gateshead, using a rotating wheelchair technique, won 4 field events, including this, the club throwing. Great Britain swimmers won more medals than any other country, but it was the American blind swimmer Tricia Zorn who won most gold medals in Seoul, 12 in all. But what success too for Britain's leading medal winner, Angela McDowell, with 8 medals, finishing third in this race behind Miss Zorn. Janice Burton from Stoke-on-Trent won a gold, 3 silver and 3 bronze medals, and Mike Kenny from Swinton swam brilliantly for his 5 gold and 1 silver. This is Robin Surgener, winning one of his 4 gold medals. Tony Jarvis is from Tipton, West Midlands. For Britain and the world, these games in South Korea reflected not disability, but athletic ability.
And Tony Jarvis here, a perfect example of how disabled sportsmen can adapt and improvise. Tony, tell us how you got involved in bowls and how you developed this very distinctive skill of yours.
Well, about 4 years ago, I went to what we call a have-a-go day for disabled people, where you take part in all types of sports. And I had to go at crossbow, table tennis and bowling. I've watched bowling on the telly. It's a sport that I've liked to watch, and it's one that I wanted to
And you develop this unique grip of yours. It is a grip because you're not really balancing the ball, are you?
No, the wood is actually quite firm on the foot, so when you deliver, it's...
And that means that you can compete on full-size rinks against able-bodied as well. I'm going to ask you to do the hard thing now, which is talk and bowl at the same time. Send a couple down for us. You were born without arms, which means that you developed a whole range of skills with your feet. What other sports are you involved in?
As I said...
That's not bad for starters, is it? All right, you've convinced us. You've mastered bowls. What else are you involved in?
Right, bowling is my #1 sport. My second sport probably is table tennis, where I hold the table tennis bat in my mouth. And also angling. I love fishing.
And archery as well, or a form of archery as well?
Yeah, well, I shoot a crossbow also with my feet, yes.
You really set an example to other disabled people in this country. You've had a first-hand example of the influence that you're able to put on other disabled people.
Yeah, well, only this week I had a chap phone me who'd had an accident and he's lost the use of both his hands and arms. So when I get back home, I'm going to get together and have a chat and see what we can get him involved in.
Send another one down. You're grouping pretty well down there. The Paralympics for you, what kind of an experience was it? You became a bit of a star over there, didn't you?
Yes, the day after my game was televised, I went shopping and we had lots of children and they came and they wanted autographs off me, so I had to sit down and sign autographs with my feet and different things like that.
But the important message, you're sportsmen and athletes first, disabled second. Send that one down. And let me just tell the audience that in the audience with us today is your fiancée Anne, and you're rounding off a busy year by getting married, what is it, on Wednesday?
Wednesday the 7th.
Congratulations and best wishes for that. Tony and other members of our Paralympic squad.
Well, we're very close now to the moment when the BBC Television Sports Personality of 1988 will be announced. On the basis of your votes, here are the leading contenders in no particular order. Well, now comes that moment when we announce who you've chosen as the BBC Television Sports Personality of 1988. And to make the announcement, we're delighted to welcome the newly elected chairman of the British Olympic Association. He spent a lifetime working for the good of sport, Sir Arthur Gold. It's all yours, sir. Perhaps you could do 3, 2, and 1 for us.
In third place, Sandy Lyle. In second place, Adrian Moorhouse. Congratulations. I won't be able to get anything to see your family. And for the first, I will need an arm some 800 miles long. So it has to be presented by somebody else. And it is the BBC Sports Personality for 1988 is Steve Davis.
Steve, many congratulations. As you know, we keep this bit of hardware here. We don't let it out of the country. But just so you can get the feel of things, we've got a replica there for you, and we're going to ask Terry Griffith to present it to you. Terry?
Oh, no. Thank you.
Hold on, Terry. Yeah. I don't know what the state of the match is, Steve, but it's customary, Steve, if you can hear us, to now just say a couple of words for us, will you?
I'm not too sure if I'm supposed to say a few words now, Desmond.
Yes, please.
I'm so upset I'm not there. Very quickly, I suppose, I'd like to thank Norwich Union and Terry Griffiths for actually allowing this to happen, and also Canal Plus and also the Excelsior Hotel, because I thought it was just going to be an interview, and here we are. So thank you very much to everybody from the Radio Times who's taken the time and trouble to enter and fill in their coupons. And without them and the viewers at home, I don't think the sports personality and the review of the year would be what it is. So hopefully it continues for many years, and I'm absolutely delighted to have won this, but very disappointed to not be there as well. But hello, Nan. How you doing? Thank you.
the 1988 BBC sports personality, Steve Davis.